Hey guys, Tom LoBianco here, editor, co-founder, 24 Site News. I'm joined by some dude who's fishing. Who's this guy? Who's this fisherman over here, man? What are you doing? It's Chris
Now you
Cuomo.
know we're buddies. You know we're buddies, Lobianco, because I talk to you even when I'm fishing. But I figured, for Substack, everybody wants access, everybody wants authenticity. All right, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm with my buddy
Yeah.
John out here in the Peconic Bay in Long Island. We're fishing a rip, which is where you have intersecting currents of water over a different depth space, and we're trying to catch striped bass. He has been successful. I have not. So I figured I might as well talk to Lo Bianco if I'm on the schneid.
The biggest hit will come with right when we're about to get into like the serious scoops.
Well, my scoop is that if we're talking about the Middle East situation, is that Trump is asking, or his guys, or whoever, or both. One thing they're asking is a good question, which is, what happens after the bunker busters?
Yeah.
How do we know? What's the level of certainty? What gives you certainty? That's good. What is not as good is the political discussion that's going on in House about how worthwhile it is for the administration to jump in on this because it looks like Israel is going to rule the day.
Hmm.
That bothers me as a motivation for something like this because, I agree with the premise that the regime can't have nukes. I don't agree that this is the only way to do it.
What's your assessment right now on whether they actually that it's been weaponized, and whether they actually have nuclear weapons? I mean, I feel like we're reliving the Iraq War debate here.
I think but that I don't think we're doing. I'll never do that again. We took a beating on that story. A lot of people are too young on Substack to remember, but the American people believed the Bush administration, Ari Fleischer and the other guys who were telling them that we were affecting operational security on the ground in Iraq by talking about the lack of weapons of mass destruction, the lack of yellow cake as a motivation to get in there. And we stopped reporting on it because people stopped watching us.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
at ABC News at the time, so I won't make that mistake again. We do not know that they are enriching uranium, except that the IAEA says that they're enriching uranium at rates way higher than they're supposed to be. And they don't have the asset classes, the marine air asset classes to need the fuel. So there's only one reason to do it. I accept that reasoning.
Mm.
How about you?
So, how do you handle it then? I mean, yeah, man, what I remember is IAEA was is the gold standard. There's a reason that you want them in there. All right. I can't remember, but I think that might have been part of the original JCPOA that Trump
Yeah.
tore up in the first term. It
Yeah.
took forever to
People
negotiate.
say he tore it up because they weren't in compliance. That's not really true. They certified Iran as being in compliance right before they left the deal. And I think there was political payback involved, kind of like when Biden got out of the home country agreements that Michelinen had set up as DHS secretary, which really made a difference in border flow. It's political payback,
Yeah, absolutely. I been talking with some folks in and around Trump world, it's a very expansive orbit. Um, I'll tell you, man, what I'm hearing is that I mean, Ukraine has, for them has been sticky for a while. All the performative stuff inside the Oval Office, aside with JD Vance launching his 28 bid, by tearing up a war general, president of the country. Um, uh, but I'm hearing that with Iran on top of Ukraine, it's starting to get some of the current adults in the room, and you can debate how much there are any adults in the room right now, to get more serious about national security operations in this administration. And
Well, but what does that mean? Like, what shape do you think it's taking?
some concern about the folks that want us to Drop
Hold on a second.
busters. Yeah. Oh, you got it.
Continue.
Okay.
I was about to hang up on your ass if I had a straight pass on here. I was going to be like, hey, Tom, those were great points. I got to go. So you think that they're thinking that Ukraine and bombing in Iran is too much activity for the administration and foreign involvement?
Yeah, and concerns about these Netanyahu hawks, some of the donor class that's out there that really wants us, getting in, getting on the ground with them. Like that's just too much.
Yeah, I understand that point. I think Netanyahu hurt himself with the cried wolf thing about enriching
Mm,
uranium. They're sending around a clip of me with him from 2018 where he's saying the same thing, and it goes back to like 2015 and et cetera, et cetera. So I think that that's true. Now, the flip side of it is, well, then why'd they do it now? And
mm,
I think a big part of it is because Trump is in office. And
yeah.
I think he believes he has a friendly shoulder. And
Yes.
he didn't have one with Biden, so he didn't do it. And I'm not doing tit for tat that Biden should have won. None of that bullshit. He shouldn't
Yeah.
even have declared to run a second time. But I think that the reason they're doing it is because they think they can, and they're in one and done mode. Like this is our chance to protect ourselves. But that doesn't hold for us. And I think from Trump's perspective, you should say, look, he's tenderizing you. Do you want me to let him keep doing that? Or do you want to come to
Yes.
the table? He's just got to control his ability of being obnoxious, because you can't be obnoxious with the regime because they take themselves too seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these guys are martyr, martyr madmen. So, that they don't play by Trump's rules of, hey, I'm just talking. They're not talking.
That's right.
They're blowing shit up with them strapped to it.
Yes.
But I
Ser-
think that he should let them tenderize as he is, and say to them, "Do you want to talk? I told you to
Mm,
talk. I gave you 60 days."
mm.
And I don't think that's wrong, and I don't think that's Trump being weak. I don't.
Yeah. The latest I saw, I think it was a New York Times news alert that just went out, was his Trump set his window for a decision on action, the size, beyond just controlling the skies, is 2 weeks. So that sounds like a huge window, by the way. In this moment, 2 weeks to decide whether we're going to start bombing.
But time is not of the essence, and all that tells you is that they don't believe they're anywhere near having a bomb. Obviously,
Mm,
right? Because
yeah.
then you would have no time, right? But I'm okay with it, man. I really am. Unlike with everything else that we've dealt with in terms of urgency, false urgency, I'm okay with it here.
Yeah.
No rush, man. No rush. No rush when it comes to bombing people, because you're gonna kill you're gonna kill innocent people.
Right. Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'll
I
tell
get
you,
that
man.
they're bombing Israel. I get it.
I'll tell you, man. If you told me there would ever be a moment of cooler heads prevailing in the second Trump term, like,
Well, look, it's fine. Look, I didn't buy into. I was Johnny's gonna have to hear this for the second time. Well, this are into our politics. You and I talked about it a little bit our last sec. I'm not into it. This girl Cruz thing, I don't give a shit if he knows that there are 99.2 million people or what the ethnic breakup is.
yeah,
That's playing gotcha. Uh, what matters is that you have a rationale for this, and day after, week after,
yeah,
month after, 6 months after rationale. And Carlson's not wrong on that level. He's wrong to see every despotic regime as not that bad. I don't know why he's into that so much, but um, he's not wrong about this. That we got to go slow.
yeah, yeah,
Look at
man.
this. This is the ultimate insult in fishing.
Did
So
did you
I've
get
already
one?
been holding his fish today. He caught fish
Okay.
and I held it. Okay, that's already really emasculating. Now He's bringing it in. Well, I was getting tug just there at the end. I don't think we'll wait. Yeah, you think it snapped off? So he's bringing it in. Um, yeah, I lost my weight. All right, I'll retire.
What's a good haul?
Muscle bed. Striped bass. You can only keep one slot fish 28 to 31 inches
Okay.
right here. So he thought it was too big. So and it actually did go back, and that was a good thing because the cop came by like 10 minutes after that. So unlike every land, sort of just break off. I used 15 pounds. Oh, okay. So the tariffs, the ICE deportations, false urgency, false aggression. I don't see that here.
Yeah.
Slow and low is fine. This is a really tough call. I think it's a close call. In my mind, it's not a close call. I would wait. I would wait.
Mm.
He said, "While you wait, put on a weight." I said, "Lost my weight." So, but and do you feel the same way that deliberation is a good thing
Yes.
here, or do you think that there's something that has to be done?
Yeah, I think deliberation helps. It feels like it I don't know, man. It feels like it activated some of the cooler heads inside this administration in a
Yeah.
way. I'll tell you, man, the prospect of a nuke flying our way or anybody's way is like, and not in the sense of like Vladimir Putin being like, yeah, we've got, mini nukes we're going to drop on, on everybody, his saber rattling. As you said before, it feels a little bit different when the Ayatollah Khomeini says it. Um, I
Well,
think,
these are the
man,
only guys that actively want to kill us.
yeah,
I
yes,
mean, I think that's fair.
yes,
Um, that you got to take them more seriously because of that. I
yes,
agree with that, but I just think that taking them seriously doesn't have to mean that you're going to bomb.
yeah, yeah, right,
I
exactly.
think that you have to exhaust diplomacy, and you've got to exhaust the regional influence.
Mm,
Of
yes,
them having the Arab world always talks about, even though Iran's these aren't really Arabs, but
right.
they always talk about these being their brothers and all that shit until they got to do something about it, and then they don't want
Uh,
to they don't want to take responsibility.
uh,
And if anybody
yep.
doubts that, just look at the wall between Egypt and Palestine.
Mm,
You know,
hey, now's the time to start going to your MBs, MBS, MBZ. Everybody, took out stakes in Kushner investment firms.
yeah, this is why you don't take billions of dollars from bad guys, um, because now when you need to pressure them, they're like, "Didn't I just give you $2 billion? How are we doing
Exactly.
with that?
Didn't we just? Let
How's
me
that
ask you.
fund coming?"
Man, uh, the No Kings protest was followed on all the immigration protests, and whatnot. And if in Trump land, in Trump times, this feels like a million years ago, even though it was only 5, 6 days ago. Uh, I was wondering about the Secret Service tackling Padilla to the ground, arresting judges, kind of this, and then we also had the shooting. Now that was not the administration, the Minnesota shooting, but it was somebody who was very clearly a big
Well,
Trump
look,
supporter.
listen, I'm with you in terms of extremism. We got to be careful about it. It's definitely getting to be way too voguish, but
Mm,
you got to also give yourself the benefit of context with the judge that they went after on the state level who walked out the guy who had a hearing or had a removal order. Um,
mm,
that's different. She shouldn't be doing
yep.
that. And Padilla shouldn't be going and grandstanding like that, you know, and neither should have the guy in New York City. And look, I mean, if you want to get arrested, I remember John Lewis talking about good trouble, and I
Mm,
think that's fine. But I think racial inequality is good trouble to be in the business of fighting. I
yeah.
think ICE enforcing immigration laws is about overreach, is about tactics.
Mm,
It's not about racial inequality. It's not about
right.
destroying all migrants. There are examples of them doing it the wrong way. It's not all they're doing. So
Mm,
I don't see it as clean as other fucked up stuff that's happened in this administration. Put it that way.
yeah. Do you think,
And I
this
think the
is,
Democrats really screwed up not making more of that protest. They had the biggest protest maybe in the history of the country, and they just stopped talking about it the next day.
yeah. Would they go, they went to that fundraiser with Alex
I think
Soros.
we're I think we're hooked on each other right now. Yes. Go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you on them, on them not grabbing the moment. I wonder about this because you look at people like Padilla, who is by all accounts an establishment guy,
Yeah.
and I don't know Lander, but he's the accountant, so I have to imagine he's pretty establishment, New York City guy.
Yeah.
um, I mean, and it kind of seems like drummed up a little bit, to get attention. Like they're kind of starting to do what like the Marjorie Taylor Greens have been doing for a decade now.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. And I think that when you have those people on the outliers, the MGT, the AOC, uh, okay, but when they become the main vibe of
Hmm.
your party, I think we're getting into a realm of extremism uh, that is really no bueno.
Yeah,
You want me to
man.
cut that off? No. The two types of fishermen. One, when there's a tangle, they just cut that shit and retie it.
Yeah.
The other guy's got to be like a guy who gets like into a Rubik's Cube master time. And this guy, he's the Rubik's Cube guy. He's got to just, I'm free. Thank you. So I'm worried about it. I'm worried about the extremism.
Mm.
I think we see it everywhere. I think it's, look, I think frankly, it's even in what is seen as, I'm letting it out, is with Cruz and Carlson. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's sport for
Yeah.
us and the left and watching MAGA eat itself. Anybody who's a student of the game knows it was only a matter of time, right? Because he was trying to please the Hawks and the radical, we hate everybody else people, right?
Yeah.
So it was only a matter of time. He was never going to be able to please them all forever. And he had a pretty good run, Mr. President, in doing it. But the idea that that's the state of play, oh, Tucker destroyed Cruz. Look, I'm happy. I'm happy to shit on Cruz as much as the next guy. He's got the most
Yeah.
punchable face in politics. Second, maybe to Tucker, right? He's pretty punchable. But I have a soft spot for Tucker. I don't have one for Cruz. But the idea that that's the state of play. He destroyed him with a question about the population, and then they just ignore the fact that he says the Bible is why he supports Israel. I mean, that's extremism. That's
That's
extremism.
crazy.
That is not
That
who we are. Okay, you
Yeah.
never heard Ben Franklin say that.
No, no. It's yeah, that's crazy town. And, I'll tell you, man, it sounds like somebody who thinks he's going to run for president again. But he's like he's like Dick Gephardt in like '96. All right, he's like a decade past
Nobody
his
wanted to
prime.
punch Dick Gephardt in the face.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's it.
He was a good-looking guy.
You you know what, man? I saw him on Chris Matthews on Substack a little while ago on Chris Matthews' Heart Rate. Sounded good. Still got the verve.
Yeah, it's funny how that kind of measure that made him so boring back in the day. Now you're like, yes, yes, he's thinking, he's thinking.
Complete sentences. Like
I mean, I feel the same way. It's all relative. I mean, we're all goldfish in this business. We have a 5-minute memory. I listen to the president, uh, W, and I'm like, oh, it makes sense.
arrest.
He's so seasoned. And I remember thinking that this guy was like Palooka par excellence. That was when the Ivy League died to me, was when they were like, well, he went there. I was like, oh, all right. Maybe I'll take that off the resume.
He did. You know what, man? I mean, that was always the Pence calculation back in the day. Was that people would be so fucking exhausted that they'd be ready for boring, like the most boring shit imaginable. And
Yeah, but you know what? The American people, look, sometimes they get too much credit. Sometimes it's overthinking, but a lot of times they don't get enough credit.
yeah,
There may not be policy sophistication. And it's also not necessary because they know nobody's going to do what they say, but they get authenticity.
yeah, sure.
And Pence was a big Christian moral majoritarian who then all of a sudden was with Trump. And it's like, come on.
Yeah, yeah. It was a bridge too far for everybody. Uh, who do you think among the Democrats is doing it well right now? I mean, what's your sense
Ro
on
Khanna,
Fetterman? Roca
Ro
yeah?
Khanna,
Okay.
Fetterman, Westmore.
Mm,
Hold on a second.
yeah.
I got picked up too.
Hey guys, if you're just tuning in, Chris is fishing, shooting for striped bass. All right. So this is the essence of Substack Live right here. Uh, and apparently, what is it? It's like
I'm going to leave this open. I'm going to leave this open. You bring it in.
I don't go fishing for striped bass, but I haven't been fishing for striped.
One of us
bass.
had a fish, John. Based on recent experience, it probably was him because I am on the fucking schneid right now. It's like God deciding is punishing me for everything I deserve to be punished. But we're having an interesting conversation nonetheless, and I would only do this on Substack because we were talking about authenticity.
Yeah.
I think that we really have to. I said to this guy in a local news hit the other day, he was really pissed at me. I won't say where he was. Oh, you got a fish in there. Hold on. You want to see him catch a fish?
Yeah, let's do it.
Substackers, don't
Yeah,
come
yeah.
after me with any PETA shit either.
The-
Huh? That's it. Oh! Look at this. LoBianco. Can't lift it. That thing goes strong. Look at that. Look at that fluke.
Oh,
Did you see it?
what? What the what? Yeah, let's see that again. Bro, holy
Wow.
shit!
A keeper fluke on live bait. Look at that. Dead bait. Look at that. That
Oh,
was a keeper.
snap!
I mean, is that ugly or what?
Oh,
Not John.
LoBianco, when you laugh, that makes it funny. Oh, it really encourages.
So that is a keeper fluke. Nicely done.
What are you doing what are you doing with the fluke? You eat that?
Oh yeah, fluke is good.
Yeah.
This is like stuff.
No shit. That's
They
it.
don't fight this. He doesn't even know he's got a fish. This is what I'm up against. He's like, no, I'm stuck on the bottom. I don't have a fish. Shut up, LoBianco.
Fucking hanging out. Dredging up bottom feeders.
He's got a fish. It's coming up. I don't have a fish. I love that you're on fucking whatever this Substack thing is. I love it. I want everybody in the country to know he said he didn't have a fish, and he's got a fish.
Wait, is this a real one?
Yeah, he's gonna lose.
Oh.
Oh, hey.
Oh,
Got a
hell.
blue fish. Okay. One fish, two fish. Cuomo fish. This is a better fight than Carlson and Cruz right here.
You know what, man? It's like the old like cable access on the weekend. Like the sports shows, like the fishing
Yep.
shows. Hell yeah. Okay, man, definitely. What's up? You got one. You
Keep
can
an eye.
safely unhooked it. The hook is still on the line. It's not like through your hand or anything.
No, it's okay. But once again, I'm getting out fish, but I am doing it live. Um, I eat bluefish. They have more omega-3 fatty acids in salmon.
Really?
Oh, I got this. They have omega-3 fatty acids. Everybody eats salmon for that reason, and
Yeah.
bluefish has more of them. So hold on, let me just take a picture of this guy real fast.
Hell yeah, man.
Doesn't Oops, sorry. Doesn't count if there's no picture.
That's right, man.
There you go. What the fuck? Hold on one sec.
Yeah. So it's great. This is the essence of real journalism
Substack.
right here.
This is it. This is real. This is
Dude,
real.
Substack is bumping right now. It's starting to get into the national bloodstream in a serious way.
There's no question about it. It's now expanding and different people are getting into it. And, people were asking me, uh, even if you think that I'm not that bright, but I'm not a complete idiot, why would I tell people that I'm using the money to help people get treatment for long COVID
Mm,
if I was full of shit? How
yeah.
hard would it be to bust me on that? The doctor's name is Robin Rose, by the way. She's all her content is on my page. You can contact her and see. But anyway, all right, next topic. So
Tell me what I wanted to ask you about that, man, because I hear
yeah,
about it generally, and I know nothing about long COVID. Thank God.
yeah, that makes you like most of the clinical community.
Okay. What is it? I mean, what is long
Long
COVID?
COVID is a range of post-viral sequelae, is the word they'll use. Sequelae means things that follow, and you have that with flu. You have that with different
Mm,
viruses. But with long COVID, there is a range that goes from diagnosable schizophrenia, heart ailments,
wow.
a lot of blood imbalances, and then on the really easy level, relatively in the land of the fucked, being much better off than most, is what I have, which is where you get mast cell activation, which means during the wintertime, people will say, "Oh, that Italian skin, boy, you must have been in the sun." I'm flushed up red from the long COVID. So
Oh,
for
wow.
me, the only real risk is what they call my homocysteine level, which is the inflammation level that can affect heart health. Is up.
Oh,
So basically, it's enhanced. It increased my inflammatory response, but I'm really lucky in terms of most people. There's so many people who are suffering from long COVID, long vax. Why? Why both?
mm,
Because long vax, long COVID are both triggered by spike protein from the COVID virus. So it can be from either the vaccine or from the virus itself. And
mm.
now Dr. Robin Rose is one of a medical consortium of researchers who figured out how to tell the difference. Very big deal. Where
Oh,
do you want me to pick this? Back where we were? Maybe I should do it. All right. Um, there's a lot of fish right here, by the way. Oh, anyway, this is the sonar, you see? So you're looking for red because that's the sign of an air bladder. That's what shows up red. So this
oh,
is either bait or fish with, bait with bigger fish behind it.
oh. Okay.
Anyway, so you want to see that when you're gonna fish. Um, so that's what I have. I have a relatively mild case of long COVID, although my doctor keeps telling me, you're not doing what you got to do to get the homocysteine level down. You can wind up having heart problems.
Mm,
But my father died of heart problems, so my brother and I get checked a little bit more than most people, and I'm where I need to. I'm okay. So I'm
okay.
fortunate, but I wanted to help people. Um, and the biggest problem they have is that this shit's expensive, and insurance isn't paying for
Mm,
any of it.
really? Jesus.
Nothing. The stuff that works, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And I really believe that the only extremism we should be in is kindness,
Yeah.
and just trying to fucking help people if you can
Yeah,
help
man.
them. So if I can do it, I want to do it. And look, I got to be telling it's so awesome. I mean, to be able to talk to a reporter whose work I've been following for years. You're one of the only guys that is in my zeitgeist right now that I don't immediately second source.
Thank you.
And
Thanks,
and
man.
I think you
Appreciate that.
guys are doing great work. And the reason I don't second source you is because every time I have, it's been a waste of my time.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
trust is earned. Trust is earned in this business. So the
Thanks, man.
ability to have these unvarnished conversations, and let people in a little bit, because I signed up for this. It was interesting. My daughter said to me the other day, and then we'll switch topics if you want, Tom.
Yeah.
My daughter's working on her uncle's campaign, right?
Yeah.
And she saw something that I had put on social media that she thought was a little too close to the city race, even though it had nothing to do with the city race. It was about
Mm,
just the Democratic Party and the level of extremism within their ranks, in my opinion. And she was like, "Hey, listen, I don't want to go through that again if I don't have to." And it
mm,
was interesting because, you know, we sign up for this. You want to be on TV, you want to put your face out there. People are going to punch it, but you forget about your family, and
yeah.
you forget about what they have to pay and how they feel. And I don't have an excuse, Tom. If that were you, I'd be like, well, live and learn, Tom. Just do it
Yeah.
different. I grew up hating that my
Yeah.
father. I saw it as a
Yeah.
privilege, but I hated the baggage. And
Mm.
and then I wound up doing it to my own kids anyway, because I guess ultimately in life you wind up doing what you know. Um, so so I
What is it like growing up in the public eye?
it is a very, in my opinion, if you want the truth
Yeah.
is it's a very mixed blessing. You
Mm,
don't say that because everybody just thinks that you're a prince and everything's paid for and everything's easy and you get everything you want and everybody likes you, and when you're a 6 they say you're a 10. That is true, maybe, but what's also true is that everybody's looking to see whether you're a 6 or a 10, and
mm,
everybody's watching everything you do. And the reason there's so many politicians' kids who wind up fucked up,
mm.
even more than I, is because they're desperate to be normal. And the easiest way to be seen as just like everybody else is by
Wow.
doing fucked up stuff.
Wow.
In fact, my
Wow.
my daughter, my daughter who's 22, she's a singer songwriter, Bella Cuomo.
Mm,
Um, she wrote a song about this called "Mistakes," and it was actually about how her mom and dad, but really me, because my wife is like, a much better person than I am, low bar, but that I had kind of been on her about be worried, people are watching. And she wrote a song about how I got to still make the mistakes everybody gets to.
mm,
And I respected that. I respected that. So that's what it is. It's the mixed blessing, but it makes you really good at covering politics because I
mm.
know so many of
Yes.
these people when there's no camera around, and
Yes.
they know me and they know my family and they know, I may not agree with you, but if I tell you this is how it's going to go, that's how it's going to go. What's going on? Oh, I'm just I got to rewrite both of them because yours got all cheaped up at the bluefish. Oh man, my hook fell off. This is great. He's doing all the work because I'm doing
Oh
this.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
Thanks, John.
it's always that way. You know
I
what?
go fishing with
I
John.
always say everybody's got a superpower. Like you. I don't know you well personally enough, but your superpower when it comes to your journalism is that you never lose focus of who you're reporting for.
Thank you.
Like you
Yeah.
don't play and like
Yeah.
let me advance this story with a detail that nobody cares about. You're very much, if you're going to know one thing, know this thing. You're very good at that, and
Thank you.
so the whole outlet is my my superpower is that I draw better people to me. So my friends are this assemblage of mostly guys, but some women also who tend to be a little bit older than I am, who are all better than I am at something that matters to me.
Oh,
So like all of them, like so John, who is not easy to be around on a there's a reason there's not 6 people on this boat right now. You know what I'm saying? Um, he spent the last 30 plus years running the largest recovery business in the state. Like that's
wow.
what he did. And so like we'll be out, like people come up to me and they're like, "Oh, Chris, you're so sexy, you're so smart." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I know." And they're like, "Oh, I can't believe that you're actually this big in person." I'm like, "I know." But then once in a while, people will come up to him and you'll see them looking at him. And they'll come over and sometimes they're sheepish, sometimes they're really demonstrative. And it's because somebody, either them or someone in their life, went through the program. And sometimes they didn't make it. But most of the time they did make it. And they're just coming over to say thank you to him. And it's like,
Wow.
what an amazing way to live your life, you know? Some of us make the mistake of thinking that like we're in the public service. That's service, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man.
that's my superpower is that I got all these people in my life like that. So it's not just the least of it is keeping you grounded. I don't have a single
Eh,
fucking fan in my immediate circle. Like I've never met a bigger bunch of haters than I have in my life. But but it's true, none of them. All they like to do is say, "Yeah, I saw the show last night." Here's the thing that bothers me, and it's always me that bothers them. Always me.
That's great.
They love Dusty. They love, but there is such a blessing in that I have zero. There's zero bullshit. There's
Yeah,
zero
dude.
bullshit. There's like, yeah, you said that. That was fucking stupid. Or yeah, that you should either hit that guy or walked away, but that was stupid. Whatever it is. And there's a huge gift in that, especially at my age,
Yeah.
and for my kids to have the benefit of them. Guys who are successful in business. Some of them are finance guys, but some of them are just entrepreneurs. Some are in the do good business like him. And that's my superpower. I have a phenomenal circle. I'm like 2 phone calls away from anyone I would ever need
Yeah.
access to about anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
So
It's
that's
awesome,
why
dude. It's
for the job, it's great. But you pay a price. I don't got to tell you, Tom. You pay a price. Pay a price.
it's I mean, on a much smaller level. I mean, you, I remember at the beginning of Trump, I stopped posting pictures of my family very
Yeah.
much on
Yeah.
social media. You know, like,
Yeah. People try to make him a victim all the time. Let me tell you something.
mm,
That man is the Teflon Don. Look at these. So you don't think that these are the target? You think there's a big? All right. I'm showing them this. That's called passive aggression, what I was just doing there, Tom. I'm trying to tell them that I think there's fish underneath us and we're not fish. Um, Trump is not a victim. Okay.
yeah,
Trump is super thick skinned. Last slide here. He and he gives as good as he gets. And I'll tell you, and I've told my audience before, so it's not a secret.
mm,
Thank you. Thank you. That here's my beef with Trump. Okay, I have a personal beef with Trump. I do not believe he's a Hitler. I don't believe he's a despot in the making. I don't think.
mm,
I think you're giving him too much credit for strategic sense for that. Okay, I think he's a great salesman. I think he understands where people are at, and I think he has demagogic tendencies. My beef with him is when he started with the Fredo and Cuomo is an enemy of
mm,
the state and he hates the country. He made it tough on my wife and my kids. And he didn't get me fired, but he created an environment where I became the story too often for some of the people in the house.
yeah,
And I asked him to stop. Okay. I reached out to him. I said, look, I do not talk about your kids, even though they're adults. Okay. I don't
yes,
even talk about you. I keep telling people I don't give a shit about the candidates slash presidents' sex life. I don't care.
hmm
I don't care. He's not dating my mom, you know? And,
that's right.
I have problems with what you do. I have problems with what you say, but you got to get my family's name out of your
Yeah,
mouth like that.
yeah, yeah,
And the message was, be nice and we'll see what happens. And I said, no, no, it's
mm,
not be nice. I do the job and I am not some asshole who just comes on every night and says Trump
yeah,
sucks. Okay. I've never
yeah,
done that.
yeah,
And I mean, sometimes he sucks, and I say it, but I mean, that's not what I do for a living. And I don't hate him. I don't hate anybody. I don't think you should invest that kind of
yeah,
power in somebody. And he didn't do it. He kept smashing me. So that's my beef is
yeah.
that he made my kids have trouble in school and he caused trouble for my wife and her business, and he caused trouble for me. And I thought it was gratuitous.
It is
Where are we? Like
gratuitous.
Connecticut?
It's not nobody. It's not the realities TV star, on weeknights. It's President of the United States doing that.
Yeah, and people don't get that. Like they don't get it both ways. Like, hey, when you get Trump, you should tell him you fucking blah blah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. when you're talking to the United States, we'll see how fucking loud and proud you are. When
Yeah.
you realize, this guy, you know, first of all, if nothing else, everybody's with him. You know what I mean? Nobody loves us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got people who love him. Nobody
Yes.
loves me. Okay, unless they've got my last name. So, it gets tricky, but that's okay. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm all right with it, and I'm also okay with people not doing it the way I do it. There are a lot of people who take a pass. There are a lot of people who do the job straight and quiet, or they pick their spots, and I get
Yeah.
it. I do not begrudge it because it's a lot to get into the arena.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It
It's a
is.
lot.
It is, man. You had one of the things I really like about, especially what you've been doing with News Nation, and I mean, I feel like you've always done this on air, but I heard
Hold on.
podcasts recently. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like you get like a great range. I say this as you're about to reel one in. But let's see if it's a good one. Okay. I feel like you're really a good guest, but no, right? Let's see if you get a good fish. I feel like you do a very good job of bringing in diverse viewpoints. I was watching that Bill O'Reilly, Stephen Smith, James Carville.
Over here
Uh,
somewhere.
you know,
So that has been awesome. A lot of that is Dusty, my EP. She has a great sense. She ran The View for a
mm,
dozen years with Barbara Walters.
oh
She started it with her. That she has a great sense of diversity of opinion, and we've been going for Salon Effect. And that's fun, guys. So what do you think? Something picked it up and ran with it and then dropped it. That means it was a bass, by the way. Target species.
oh
Anyway, so and also I get lawmakers left and right on at the same time. That is so hard to do,
yeah
and the audience really appreciates it, which I appreciate that they appreciate it, um, because it's so hard to get them in. Is that a fish or is it just heavy? I feel like it's a shoe. Um, so that's really what I'm trying to do. Now, here's the
yeah
problem with that, Tom, is that you like it, but it is highly unsatisfying for partisans.
yeah
You know, because they want you to be kicking somebody's ass every night, and it's got to be the right person.
How do you thread that needle, man? Because you mentioned this on your podcast recently. Kind of the dirty word politically is center,
That's what he
but the
called.
better way of framing it is majority. Because frankly, that's for what's this?
It's a beer
What's that?
bottle. It's a beer
Oh,
bottle
congrats.
with growth on it.
Awesome.
Got his bait. Um,
Disgusting.
well, here's the thing. I hate middle. I hate middle. You never
Yeah.
want to be in the middle of anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's a couple of things I could think of, but the you don't want to be in the middle of a fight. You don't want to be the ref. The only thing both teams agree on is that the ref sucks,
Yeah.
and it's that this is the majority. We don't talk about the majority. It's magnified minorities that
Yeah.
control the dialogue, and
Yeah.
it's toxic, and it's disingenuous, and it's gratuitous, and it's nakedly opportunistic, and
Yeah.
it's launched a lot of podcast careers, you know and like this joker Dave Smith, one of Rogan's army, who nobody ever should have heard of before, but now he's like going after these other pod guys because he's a huge isolationist. It's like,
The fuck. It's like we got the internet connection frozen there for a hot second. This is what happens when you catch a beer bottle uh, down in New York. All right, guys. Well, we'll see if Chris hops back in if his connection works. Um, we'll have more like this. And of course, I'm Tom LoBianco, editor, co-founder of 24 Site News. If you're not subscribed yet, please do subscribe. Up there at the top of the screen, spread the word. I'll say, I feel like I live in that weird center space. Technically, a reporter is not anything, right? We're objective. I think most people watching this, if you're here on Substack, probably a little more, better educated crowd than what we might get out in the X universe with its rampant Nazism these days. But in some ways, you kind of become a centrist by default when you're covering these things because things are so complicated. We talked about this at the beginning of the stream. Uh, uh, Chris was in the field for a very long time before he took up the anchor's desk. And he covered a lot of things, ABC News before he hopped over to CNN, a lot of overseas work. And there's stuff that you've learned. Here we go. Chris back. Oh, here we go. Hop on. Hey guys, hop on over to the. eh, Well, all right. Thought we got him back. Anyway, guys. You know what? We're gonna wrap this one up here in a second. I'll just say that one of the things I've always really appreciated about Chris is that he does bring that reporter's eye to this, and things are very complicated. When you cover a story, you cover it at length. And he mentioned this earlier. There's a lot of details that don't make it into the tweets. They don't make it into the social media statements. And, there's a lot and you kinda I don't really think that you become a centrist necessarily, but I do think that, you kinda hew more towards the middle. I would say independent. I'd say independent is the way, um, because, like, you can't be a partisan. I mean, not in the news business at least, or at least you shouldn't be, let me put it that way. And, because reality is complicated. There's always more to the story. We say in journalism school, that's what I tell my interns here that, if your mother says she loves you, check it out. Because you really got to look into things. So, guys, here, I'm going to wrap this up. Um, we'll get Chris back for another one soon. Make sure you subscribe to 24 Site News. Make sure you go check out Chris Cuomo on Substack. He's been doing some really good lives recently. Catch his podcast, the Chris Cuomo Project, anywhere you get a good podcast. And also tune in on News Nation every weeknight. Catch him. Is the wildest thing in the world watching Bill O'Reilly, back at it and not being the fieriest person in there. um, oh, here, hold on a second. I'm gonna wrap this one up, okay? Um, I think, Chris is back and he's inviting me to go on the other one, so let's see if this works. If this works and I freeze again, hop on over to the other one. Otherwise, I'll just post this video when we're done. Hold on. I can hear you. Yo. Oh, that matters. Oh. Oh, yeah. I guess, hey, I'm gonna end this one. And I'm gonna hop back on with Chris. Okay. Go on. You'll see. You should see the alert. Hang tight. We're talking about beer bottles that look like fishes. That's what happens when we go fishing down New York.